She's dead wrong, but not guilty. This video is brought to you by The Officer Tatum Store. The Officer Tatum Store, get the merch link in the description section. 35% off the entire store until January 1st, so go get the discounts. Like and subscribe to the channel. Download this on podcast networks all over. Whatever you podcast, wherever you do it at, download it here. I think I said all I need to say. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, I have to talk about this. I wasn't going to talk about this, but Kim Potter, the officer who accidentally shot the young man Wright, is now finishing up on her trial. She gave her testimony on the stand. Personally, based on the law, the letter of the law, which I'm going to read to you guys, I don't think that she should be found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. However, I think that she shouldn't have been a police officer. She did not have the temperament to be a police officer. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. And I normally stand up for police officers, especially when they're doing the right thing, but I can't support this. I can't support a woman or a police officer in general, whether you're a male or female, who has the temperament of Kim Potter, who made the mistake of Kim Potter. And I'm going to show you how it's nearly impossible unless you're a bad cop. All right, let's roll the film real quick. Let me start by showing you her temperament on the stand. This is her on the stand getting ready to, I guess, explain the whole shooting scenario. Look at how she's acting. Now, let me preface it real quick because I know that she could be distraught after taking the life of a person, thinking that you probably can spend the rest of your life in prison. Of course, you have a little bit of emotion involved, but all the cops out there, let's listen to how she reacts to this question. Roll the film.
Did you say anything when you saw this? What did you do?
We were struggling. We were trying to keep him from driving away. It just went chaotic. And then I remember yelling, "Taser, taser, taser," and nothing happened. And then he told me I shot him.
All right. Do you see that? Do you see how she's acting? The way she's explaining this, and she's so distraught. And she's, I don't know, you cannot be a cop like this. You cannot train other officers with temperament like this. Let me show you some more because I don't want to beat her up too bad, but hey, I'm going to keep it real. Let me show you the actual incident and her breaking down during the incident. Roll the film. So I already made a video about this. I put the link in the description section, how terrible the tactics were. Completely terrible. It's understandable because the guy that made initial contact, the black officer, was a rookie being trained by Kim Potter, the one who shot the wrong person or accidentally shot the guy. She's being trained by him. Of course, his tactics aren't that great. Her tactics are terrible. They get into a scuffle. Here we go. Watch it. She reached on her gun side, and I'm going to show you in a minute why that's terrible. She's reaching on her gun side for a taser. Not one. He didn't pull a gun out. He didn't pull a gun out. The rookie didn't pull a taser out. Neither did the sergeant pull a taser out. She's the only one that decided to pull a weapon out, and she still didn't pull the right weapon out. Now think about this. She just shot him accidentally. The suspect is driving away. This is not the time for you to punk out and cower and cry in a corner. You need to be giving commands, getting on the radio, describing what happens. You cannot have a meltdown in the middle of a freaking call where you just shot somebody who's wanted for a violent crime with a weapon. He's put people in the hospital, turn them into vegetables. This is a dangerous individual. And you look at it.
Yes!
Kim, sit down.
Oh my God!
PI access 63rd and Captain.
Look at her.
Lexington 38 start north.
She's out of service. You can't see her because I'm in the way. She's sitting over here off camera. She's out of service. She can't do anything anymore. She's no longer a police officer. She's now crying, sitting on the corner because she accidentally shot somebody. Now let's go to why I think this is even worse than what we see here. Is you need to look at Kim Potter's gun belt. And I think this will give people a little bit of an understanding about what we're actually talking about and why Brandon Tatum think it's absolutely ridiculous that she pulled the wrong weapon. Now, right here, this is her gun. This is her taser. Gun is on the right side. Taser is over here. Gun, taser. The reason that you put it like this, and what I think is she's absolutely ridiculous for having it like this in the first place. This is another reason why I think that how is she a police officer for 20-something years and she have no common sense? Why would you put your taser like this on this side? You put your taser with the handle facing this way. You are not left-handed. This is impossible to grab your taser with your right hand. Impossible. You're right-handed. This is impossible. You put the taser handle this way so you can reach across and grab it. Now, any functional officer with any level of experience would understand that when I go for my taser, it's going to be this awkward grab and manipulation of the holster that's completely different than my gun holster. And once I get the taser out, it's twice as light as a gun loaded with bullets in it. And you have to flip a switch to activate the taser, and the red beam comes out, and then you have to pull the trigger on the taser. If you're going right here to your sidearm, you pull out a 2-pound gun, the light ain't shining on nothing. And you pull the trigger, how? How are you so incompetent, in my opinion, that you cannot get the holster right? And even if they make the holster this way, you know if you're grabbing over here somewhere or you grabbing here. How are you more flustered than your rookie and a sergeant? Nobody was that flustered but you. Okay. Let me keep going, and then we're going to get to the law, and I'm going to tell you why she's potentially is not guilty according to the court of law. Let's start with her two charges of misdemeanor in the first degree, manslaughter in the first degree, and then manslaughter in the second degree. According to Minnesota law, manslaughter in the first degree, the first application of this does not apply, right? If you get convicted, you can no more than 15 years, right? No more than 15 years, no more than a $30,000 fine. So she can't get no more than 15 years even if she was convicted for this. However, there is no way that anybody will convict her of this, and I'm going to explain to you why. First and foremost, the statute subsection 1 does not apply. It says intentionally causing the death of another person in the heat of passion, provoked by such words or actions of another. Okay, that's not it. She's in a police interaction lawfully. Number 2, and this is what's most applicable, violates section 602, 224, and cause the death of another or causing the death of another in committing or attempting to commit a misdemeanor or gross misdemeanor offense with such force and violence that death of or great bodily harm to another person was reasonably foreseeable, right? She was not committing a misdemeanor. She actually had the right to use deadly force against Wright, but she was too flustered to figure out what she was doing, and she ended up shooting the guy instead of tasing him. She had the right to tase him based on the totality. Had the right to shoot or tase him based on the totality of circumstances. So she wasn't committing any crimes in what she was doing because she had the legal right to shoot him and tase him if she so desired based on the totality of his behavior. Misdemeanor 2. Misdemeanor 2. Manslaughter in the second degree. All right. You can't get no more than 10 years in prison, $20,000 fine, right? Now go on to the subsection 1. This is most applicable. It says by a person's culpable negligence whereby the person creates an unreasonable risk and consciously takes chances of causing the death or great bodily harm to another person, right? And let's see, and when you look at it like this, you have to say she didn't put him in an unreasonable risk, and she didn't consciously take chances that will cause the death of another person. What she did wasn't conscious. She may suck as a police officer, and I would never want her on a call with me because she's too flustered over a simple interaction with somebody. However, when you look at the totality of the circumstances, you have to say, was this conscious or not conscious? Now, let me show this other picture because I wanted to let this be known, because I think this is another thing that makes me cringe. As she's accidentally shooting him, her officer's face is right here. The sergeant is over here. Not knowing the status of your weapon is dangerous not only to suspects but to other police officers and your rookie, which you literally shot the man right by his face. You don't even know you got a deadly weapon in your hand. You could have killed him or your other officer and him, which you did. All right, let's go to the last point here. And let me explain this about how she can get off on this based on what I just explained, how this is not something she consciously did, okay? So with all the critique that I gave her, all of the lashing that I gave her, rightfully so, the mind can really play tricks on you in a high intense situation, a situation in which it's, dangerous. The mind can play tricks on you. And there is a particular mindset in scientific research, or a mental state in scientific research, that can lead a person to pulling out a gun or pulling out a gun instead of a taser, and not understanding that what you're doing, right? You can become so flustered that your mind tells you you have a taser in your hand. You may not even be able to detect the weight difference, the color difference. You are so flustered that you are unaware of what's going on. Clearly, based on the testimony in the court of law, she was that flustered that there's a potential that her mind was not functioning properly in a stressful situation. She got on the stand. You see how she was crying and distraught. So she clearly is. I don't know how she was a cop for 20 some years. She clearly is not she's not equipped to be in these dangerous situations or train officers. However, you could clearly see that her mind is not capable of making that decision in that stressful situation. And that is a defense to the laws that I just read. If you can prove that she didn't commit another crime, which she didn't, deadly force was actually authorized in that particular situation, and a taser. So first degree manslaughter is not applicable. Second degree manslaughter is that it wasn't conscious what she did. It wasn't that she pulled out a gun and was going to shoot it to threaten him, to scare him, but accidentally end up shooting him. It was the fact that her brain malfunctioned in a stressful situation, and she pulled the wrong weapon, not knowing what it was until after she had shot him. Based on her actions, based on her behaviors, based on her testimony, I don't think she will be found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt on any one of those charges. Is it possible? Yes. But I don't think that she will be found guilty. So the moral of the story is that I am so upset with people making excuses for Kim Potter. There's a scientific excuse of the brain malfunction. There is no excuse as a police officer for you to be this unequipped and for you to be that stressed out. You to be such a poor example of a police officer in a stressful situation. And people think that's totally fine, and that you didn't mean just because Wright was a POS and he got what was coming to him, and I don't care that he dead, because he didn't done all these things to other people, put people in comas. He's a bad person. He would have dragged those police officers down the street and killed them if he could. He's a bad person. He got what he deserved, in my opinion. However, that doesn't negate the critique of a police officer who's doing the wrong thing. We see this all too often where people are just police officers and everybody and their mama know this person ain't equipped to handle business. They ain't equipped for that drama. They get flustered. I don't know if I reached over here like this or I just did this when nobody else reached for the gun. That guy didn't have a gun. Anyway, I could talk about this for 3 hours. This video probably ain't gonna get no views, but I just had to get this off my chest for a minute. because I'm sick of people talking about this and not pushing the proper knowledge and understanding it from the police perspective. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank y'all for joining the stream. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.